In study of the Biafran War, Michael Gold claims that Banjo took Benin without the loss of a single life. Indeed, the inhabitants gave the invading troops a jubilant welcome. But this claim of Biafran occupation is not true for all areas of the Midwest and its people, as it caught the Non-Ibo areas unawares and was achieved through sporadic fighting and violence. An Irish priest reported the violence that was perpetuated by the Biafran soldiers who took Benin. The leper settlement in Osiomo had about 1,200 residents before the war. Divided by the Osiomo River, the Igbos lived on the east bank, and Beninese Yorubas and others on the west bank. When Biafrans invaded in August, they swept through the Igbo side and, crossing the river to the west side, killed all the Beninese and Yorubas they could find. 6 weeks later, the federals came from the other direction, set up the artillery on the Benin side and shelled the Igbo side, after which they crossed the river and killed any Igbos remaining. Like I said yesterday, when you hear the history of the war, all you hear is that the federal troops went to that kind of place and bombed everywhere. They are bad people. Nobody tells you that before the federals got there, the folks from that other side, the Igbos, for instance, had worked with their own people and bombed anything that was federal. Nobody talks about that part, but it's important so we can condemn both sides and be fair. Virtually all the newspapers, including Nnamdi Azikiwe's West African Pilot, reported fighting in some towns in the Midwest during the invasion. The Biafran capture of Benin City and loyal troops of Benin garrison, resulting in the Biafran overpowering and disarming of the police and loyalist Midwest soldiers. I mean, it's easy now. If Biafrans are coming and your own soldiers in the Midwest are already divided, it makes sense. Naturally, they're going to overpower the maybe half of, it's not even up to half of the troops. Let's continue. David Ejo claimed that while the invaders were busy occupying Benin City, Lieutenant Colonel Oche of the Midwest Area Command, acting on instructions from Benin, launched an attack on the government house with the intention of capturing or killing him. That's the attack that we read in the book by Nelson Ota earlier. He says, but he fought his way out with a gun. Similar fights took place in Aochi, Ubiaja, Ugeli, and Wari, while the massacres of Northerners by Biafrans were recorded in Benin City and Sapele amidst rioting in Urobo areas. The number of deaths from this first day of invasion and occupation is not known. The major victims of this fight were officers of the police force, which was reported to have lost many men during the occupation. And since the over 250 policemen of Eastern Nigerian origin in the Midwest were redeployed to Biafra in May 1967, it is safe to assume that the majority of those killed were Non-Ibo officers. The entry of Biafran troops into Midwestern towns and villages was characterized by search for, torture, and killings of suspected Northern Nigerians, conscription of soldiers, and the seizure and looting of food, livestock, vehicles, machinery, money, and any item that caught their fancy, as well as raping of women. Eyewitness accounts and newspapers reported that the Biafrans targeted the Hausa quarters of most towns. Igbo residents pointed out the residents of Northern Nigerians in addition to searching the houses of Midwesterners suspected of hiding Northern Nigerians. In Benin City, many resident Northern Nigerians were loaded into trucks and taken out of the city by the Biafran soldiers, and it is not clear what happened to them. Some personal accounts provided clues as to the fate of these residents. 65-year-old Labo Sokoto, a Northern Nigerian, claimed that he was shot in the chest and dumped in the bush, but helped by local people to later escape to the north. The Northern Nigerian government newspaper, New Nigeria, reported various atrocities allegedly committed against Northern Nigerians in the Midwest. Some Ika Agbo people, an Igbo-speaking group, confirmed that they helped to hide and protect non-Igbos, which included Northern Nigerians, from being killed by Biafran soldiers. The atrocities were also extended to all non-Igbo groups which showed signs of hostility from the moment of the occupation. The fighting and violence that characterized the invasion and occupation frightened many non-Igbo people and foreigners into fleeing the major towns without their valuable properties. These properties became the immediate target of the Biafran soldiers and their civilian Igbo and non-Igbo accomplices. The West African Pilot newspaper reported that Biafrans confiscated foodstuff and other commodities, which were immediately taken to Biafra. Oyewole, who led one of the columns of invading Biafran soldiers, corroborated newspaper reports on how the Biafran army treated properties in the Midwest. Quote, "Troops of the Liberation Army did not behave in a manner likely to improve their relationship with the people of the areas they occupied.